I've always wondered is, with the kits that's been made, all the designs, is it Mr. Haruguchi that actually the sole guy that designs everything?
He works with obviously body kit company or the shop that builds body kits, and then he put a lot of thought into his design. Always his design is unique. All the time, people say, "Oh, that's stupid, don't do it," and then he's like, "Oh, but I think it's kind of cool," so he just do it anyway. But he has a talent of being able to see the whole thing, finished product on the car or something. He just has crazy imagination. He's such a design guru. It takes time for him to build one product. It's always been a great design. Yeah, he is very talented for that.
Hi everyone, welcome back to the Torque Motorsport Show. I'm one of your hosts today, Ilias. I'm the IP licensing and partnership manager here at GMG. And my co-host today is our local Drift King.
Hey guys, I'm Rahul, researcher at GMG, and I'll do a little bit of work on the cars when they break on the track.
And today we've got a really special guest from a really awesome brand. And so we've got Jun Kurihara from 326 Power USA. Hi Jun. Tell us a bit about your role, man.
Yeah, I run the 326 Power USA, and then I also do the distribution of any international parts going from Japan to other part of the country for the 326 Power. And I also am I don't do drifting, but being a drift mechanic since 2007. So it's been a long time. I've been attending with most of the Formula D events, and then I help few drivers that I've been doing. And then so this is a kind of great opportunity for me to kind of connect with some other world, and then I'm usually in the United States, and then I like to hear some feedback from New Zealand, Australia part.
Yeah, awesome. And I guess you touched on you've been a drift mechanic for quite a long time. How did you actually get into this industry? What was your way in? And
I've been mechanic for more than 20 years, and then first I was just a kid driving Civics, and then old MR2, and then I just like touching driving cars, and then I was going to college, but nothing really kind of clicked in my life as far as different kind of job or studying, and then I wasn't insecure about my future, but the car thing somehow just clicked, and then I wanted to work on cars, and then so I kind of went to local speed shop and then asked them hey, I like to work on cars. I want to modify my cars. So best way to do it is work for you guys. And then I went there a couple of times. They're I know we don't need people, but finally the owner gave up, and then why don't you start working? And then that was back in days right about Fast and Furious came out. There was Initial D was there, and then D1 Grand Prix was coming out to US, and then everybody heard about drifting, and then I had an interest in drifting, but I never been there. So one time when they had event in Seattle, Washington, and they had a Japanese crew that needed some mechanics help, and then they preferred a Japanese person because their English wasn't so good. So I was our shop was distributing Tanabe parts. And then they contacted us, said hey, you have a Japanese mechanic, you want to lend one guy hand for the drift team. And then that's how it started. And then the first time I went there, hearing and then watching on video on TV or the web is completely different than experiencing at the event. The crowd was crazy, and then I just fell in love instantly. That's how I got into the drifting.
Yeah. We just locally had a local event ourselves, and a lot of us, it was our first time. I grew up with more of the drag racing scene back home, but Rahul, you've got plenty of experience with drifting. But we were talking about it, how for me personally, it was such a rush. I was just doing ride-alongs because I was a bit insecure about my own skills, so I was just okay, I'm just gonna watch. And I noticed everyone had sort of their own style, but man, it's such an adrenaline rush. They kind of sort of I started out in the Beamer too, so it was a lot of power in that thing. But
it was really awesome to see. We had some of the team members come out with us and jump passenger in the cars, and even some of them driving and trying to slide a car for the first time, and would passenger with them and tell them, like, okay, let's start with a donut and see how you feel and go from there. And it was really, really cool experience seeing everyone jump in.
Yeah, it's I'm pretty hooked. A lot of the guys that it was their first time drifting, they all want to become. We were actually joking about it that soon the whole company's going to have a whole bunch of 8.6s parked outside.
Yeah.
And I guess you said, it probably wasn't something you thought you would be doing when you were younger, right? But coming into it, I guess having those experiences obviously changed your life. But what was it like? I guess starting out with like your own company or like getting into the industry yourself, and what did you find there was a lot of hurdles? Like, was it difficult? I guess like being Japanese, or being able to translate and stuff probably was a huge advantage. But I guess what was your experience like?
I didn't not take over USA 326 Power USA first. I was more being a translator, middle person kind of position for a long time. That's because I had another job, and then I was doing the event, and then I could not really see myself as the company owner. So I took a role of more translating between the 326 Power Japan and then other company. Back then, actually, was the car event the Stance Nation. Yep. They were distributing 326 Power, and then they were doing okay. But one time, a little bit before COVID, I had few company with partners, and I got a little bit tired with working with partners, and then we kind of done with the business. So I was looking for something, and then and then the Mr. Haruguchi, the owner of 326 Power Japan, he always been asking if you really put your mind into it and then do other work, it shouldn't be too hard for you to take care of it. And then okay, I'll give a shot. And then that was not too long ago, and then I started building website, and I got a lot of help from other friends, and then shipping company friend, and then a lot of input from other business owner. And then now I learned so much, and then now I'm comfortable now to be able to help our customer and then communicate between Japan and US, and then sort of things.
Yeah.
Did you?
And it's been very, very grateful last 5-6 years.
Yeah. Well.
So did you know Mr. Haruguchi before you jumped on 3?
Yes. So I mentioned about the first drift event in Seattle, and then next year, Haruguchi was coming to US to drive in Formula Drift through our friend company. It's called Intech Racing, and then Haruguchi was was running full season. That was he ran Seattle and then Irwindale past year, but from 2000, I think that was 2008, 2008 or 2007, he was supposed to run the whole season. And then my friend asked me hey, you again, you speak Japanese, and then you speak English, and you're a mechanic, and then you're kind of holding one pretty much you can help in many ways. So I'd rather take you and then kind of help us for drifting program. And then that's how I went into it. And then so we did a couple of seasons with Haruguchi, and then going through Irwindale, and then that's how I first met Haruguchi. And then my friendship with him kind of continued from then. And then when he was expanding his company, I was able to help him, talk to some of the distributor in US, or some of the kind of industry people, and talk to them. Yeah. So
Cool.
yeah, it's been great.
I've always wondered with all the kits that's been made and all the designs, is it Mr. Haruguchi that actually the sole guy that designs everything, or is there a team?
He works with obviously body kit company or the shop that builds body kits, and then he put a lot of thought into his design. Always his design is unique. A lot of time, people say, "Oh, that's stupid, don't do it," and then he's oh, but I think it's kind of cool, so he just do it anyway. but he has a talent of being able to see the whole thing, finished product on the car or something. He just has crazy imagination, and then he's such a design guru. Like he's very careful with all the design, and then yeah, he's very talented for that. It takes time for him to build one product, but it's always been a great design, and then that's something that's been lasting for like 15, 20 years, such as the 326 wings. That's kind of iconic, product of our company, and then people still nowadays like asking about the wing.
The wing, yeah. You see them on anything and everything. Yeah.
Remember we saw that we were at a local event. Saw like that car.
Yeah, I think it was the 180. Yeah,
it was
that
180,
had one of them on, and it almost looks like a Type X wing, but it's just like stretched out and it's bigger. It's really cool. Yeah, but no, it's a lot of the products are awesome. Like the colors,
Well, even with the way we're developing in game, it's like I think I'm really excited to see the selection for players because we've got so many great brands, but what's unique, especially about you guys, is not just the designs, but there's so many color options as well, and like even like to the wheel, like the wheel nuts and stuff like that, like
rotors, wheel nuts, coilovers.
So it's, and the whole way that we actually were reached out to you guys was actually through the players reaching out to us saying, we really want to see this brand in Torque Drift too. So it was like, well, it just makes sense, right? But yeah, like I remember I was watching a few videos on Mr. Haruguchi and just like sort of his philosophy on how he, I guess, designs. And yeah, you mentioned he's looking at the whole car, and some of it might seem wider than it actually is. Like he just has a way of designing things that it's still practical in a way, but also stands out, looks different. And he also mentioned that he doesn't do stuff to make it look cool. It's more like he's trying to push boundaries. So is that kind of like his overall philosophy with even things in the professional business and stuff like that?
I think so. Especially when we were younger, Haruguchi and I are only like a couple years apart.
Yeah.
When we were younger, a lot of car products were thought they're sort of developed, and then, but cookie cutters, but he wanted to kind of express his like feeling through the parts, or kind of like he wanted to get out the boundary and then like make a product that like not necessarily like, oh, it looks cool. No, some parts that like people like okay, what's this, like what is that, like they don't have to necessarily have to think cool, but they just like stop and then like I don't know about this, but like they will think about it, to give some kind of impression. Those are the things he wanted to build, and then mostly he wanted to build the parts that he wants to use. That such a thing as a lug nuts. Before, like you can buy lug nuts as a set and then same color and this and that, and then there was not much of an option, maybe black and silver. And then he started selling his product. He packaged it in a way that you can choose the lens, and then you can put the spike caps, and then mixed color. You can have like 5 different color lug nuts, and then you can change the drill cap color. So like so the combination is unlimited. And then if you like red, and then like you can do greens and then purple. People now gain the whole new world for lug nuts, and then that's what Haruguchi likes, kind of push the boundary and then kind of open up the new standard. That's how he's been good. And then unfortunately, like those things get copied and then become standard, and then like so then we have to move on to another thing. And then but he's really good at it, passionate about it, and then he seems like he has no like limit to like his imagination source.
I suppose they'll be quite inspiring, but also it probably is one of the most exciting things working with them, right? Is being a part of something so unique, and also just being different from the rest of the pack. I guess we'll sort of touch on a few other things soon, but I guess probably one of the other questions, personally, is what is he up to these days? There's always like rumors online. There's also the confusion about another Mitsuru Haruguchi that passed away, and it kind of got mixed with his profile. And there's like people on Reddit.
Yeah.
There are like different kind of Mitsuru as a D1 driver, and then Haruguchi. Often like mixed up with Haraguchi or some other people. I heard about the rumor he's dead and this and that. No, he's still active, and he's very concentrated in this company, the 326 Power part, and then he's always designing something, new wheels, new body kits, to like new ideas, and then he has been going to the car events, and so not really racing events or anything, but the local Stance Nation event. He always there at the Stance Nation. Awesome. And then he is definitely the mastermind of the 326 Power. And then almost every car he built is like near perfect. Like even at the car show, like when you go to Tokyo Auto Salon, his car just looks great. So that's what he's been doing. He doesn't really be on the YouTube or mainstream anything.
But I think that's what makes him so cool, though, right? It's like kind of adds this mystique about him, which I think is lost on a lot of and people that are like, I don't want to say influencers, but more like people that are influential. Is like you almost get overexposed to people, but with Mr. Haruguchi, it's like everything I have seen of him is just really cool and just showing off a really cool build, and that's it. And I kind of like that about him.
And you get to see like the OG glimpses of him in Japan. Parks and FC.
Well, that's the next thing we should probably talk about is obviously the famous FCRX7. It's now here in Australia, so I believe the Drift we saw the video, but the Drift HQ Australia guys have really got it in good condition. We were talking about it yesterday, but
I think they've restored it to a point where it's still all original. Like if you look at the back, the bumper's all meshed up, and so they didn't restore it fully to it's perfect, which is cool. I think that's the way to go about it. If you had a legendary.
What has Mr. Haruguchi mentioned it, or what's his thoughts on that? And how did it end up being abandoned like that? So it's a very interesting story.
That is, I'm not exactly sure how he got abandoned, but yes, that was Haruguchi was driving the FC, yellow FC with like a big wings and then big 20-inch wheels, and then one of the memorial car from the back, like early D1 days. I think the ownership of the car was BN Sports, a body kit company, and then I think that's why Haruguchi kind of couldn't keep it, and then and the FC was getting a little bit old for being a competition cars. So I guess in the future, they might gonna fix it or something like that. They probably had a plan, but that just didn't happen, and then we had to go through a couple of recessions, so that did not help. And then actually the Drift HQ had contacted us about the FC. First, the Haruguchi got the first call of if he wants to buy the FC, the shell. Right. And then he was like, "Oh, I don't know." And then he was like, he's not too attached to I guess older FC because his thing is once he designed it, it's already been out, and then as soon as it's out, it's already old. So now he's like, I gotta focus on something else. However, that also inspired the thoughts of him building the yellow FC 2023 version or 2025 version or version 2. Sure. He was sharing the idea of okay, since now we have a lot more newer technologies and better parts and then better way to build race cars or the cars. So he already have FC, so that's kind of a little bit hash I guess, but he wants to build his own version of that FC.
No way.
in with a new taste.
So it'll be like the 326 Power FC RX-7 this time rather
Yeah.
than that's so cool, man.
That is, man. That's
well, you heard it here, guys. So that's so exciting, and yeah, hopefully we can maybe include it in a game.
Maybe.
That'd be nice.
Before we move on from talk because we've got so many questions for you yourself, Jun, in your journey. I guess like with Mr. Haruguchi, like what sort of advice, like words of wisdom, has he shared publicly that sort of resonates with other, yourself, your peers, or other followers?
Yeah. I mean, Haruguchi did not really have any automotive background. He's a person just, started drifting in Hiroshima, Japan.
Yeah.
And then, so it's not like he was rich. He's an average, kid back in days. And then but one thing he had was he was very honest to his passion. And then he had the will to kind of go through with the passion and trusting himself. So I guess his advice to people, if you really believe in it, and that if you really, really work hard for it, you can achieve that goal. Some people say no, you can't, but if you can't achieve the goal, that means you didn't work hard. You didn't find a way to, find a way, to achieve the goal.
That's
he
great
believes
advice.
in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a living proof. And then the company that the 326 started as a sticker shop, and then it's a pretty much like they had a sticker machine in a van, and then he kind of go through event and make a sticker, or just sell the pre-made sticker. And then that was probably back in around 2000 or something like that. And then now he has sort of world famous car product company. And then he's still moving on, aiming for higher level.
Yeah, that's awesome. Always pushing the boundaries and everything in life and in business. I think a lot of people can learn from that.
Yeah, man, I think it's a really cool brand to support, not just because of the really awesome stuff they make, but the story behind it.
Yeah, and it's cool. He comes from humble beginnings, but I was looking at some of his older D1 stuff and just clips of him, and where did he come up with the whole hot boy gimmick type of thing? Who gave him that sort of nickname? Was it himself, or he looked so cool. He had the blonde hair back then and that. So
yeah. No, I think he liked it. I think he was a ladies' man too. His another passion was to be able to hang out with girls. I want to look cool, and then I guess it kind of boils down to everybody when we are young, oh, I can do this, I can drift, and then I am kind of cool guy. Hey, you want to hang out? You want to have a drink with me? Kind of. So.
Yeah, that's kind of culture there, It's a bunch of stuff. It's coming of age. It's getting to socialize and meet people and stuff. That's why we used to go to drags with my cousins, and I wasn't even the car guy. I was just a musician hanging out with my cousins. But
that's what it is a lot of the time, man. I've made a lot of friends just that aren't even into automotive at all, but they're just hanging out at the scene, and you just get to meet them.
Because Rahul and I, we're both from New Zealand. It's a small place, and motorsport's huge over there because there's not a lot to do. Even same as Australia, every state, especially we've always got local events all the time. But you
down in Auckland.
That's probably why you're good at getting along with people too, right? Meeting new people is.
Yeah, man. I think for a little part of my life, I'd sort of stop being so social, and I'd just always stay home and not do much. But then, I had the S14 in the garage, and it was the one thing that just stayed consistent, and you'd working it, and then finally, it was running. So then I'd get to go out, and then all of a sudden now I'm meeting people at the track and at events, and I think it's an amazing thing.
Yeah, he was trying to be a hot boy New Zealand So some questions about yourself, Jun. Again, I suppose what sort of cars are you into, and what's in your own personal collection, or what's in your garage?
Yeah, it's a good question. I started driving car with EG. My first car was the EG hatchback, so that's why I still love Hondas. And then and back in days, when you were working at the the car shop in 2000s, all you did was Honda, installing coilovers and then mufflers, and then big influence installing body kits and this and that. So I still love a lot of Hondas. I still have I have EK with K24, and then I have 2006 Civic Si, I think FG. I have supercharged it, and then take it to track once in a while. And then I don't have real wheel drive car project right now, but definitely like to build 240 or 180 SX. And then this is a lot from Daigo Saito's influence, but the new Supra, I like to at least own one, and then sort of build my own 326 and car with with a new GR Supra. But it just takes a lot of money and then patience and then probably but I'll definitely like to do it.
Do you find yourself having time to maybe go about racing or even work on the cars you do have, or is it something that's
not really? I think I love to. I definitely love to do it, but it's my passion. That's why I picked as a job. But unfortunately, right now I'm spending most of my time for building a company, other 326 Power USA, and then also I have a mechanical shop in Seattle. And then that's been taking a lot of my time, and then and they're both my own business. So when you have your own business, you don't have your own personal time technically, because you need to devote it to it, and then you're working for your customer, and then you kind of put your customer first because you want them to feel happy, and then just be appreciated of what we do. So that takes a lot of time for me. So only time I can do is go to car events, and then such as Formula D or some car show events, and then kind of hang out with people at the event, and then just that's what we do. And then that's why I love Formula D. And then a lot of drivers at the event, they're just as unique as we are, and then they have a lot of experience, and then they're really good people, and then it's just comfortable being in the same community. We share the same ideas, and then at least we share the same passion towards cars and drifting. So
how often do you see cars rolling around with 326 power parts on them on the States?
No, I would say not too much. So the 326 Power is still not mainstream company, and people knows about the car culture, know 326, but it's not mainstream HKS or Grady or some sort of company. But at the car show, I start recognizing a lot of people having lug nuts, wheels, wings. So that is a huge step up for me. Before, I went to car show, I'm wearing 326 Power T-shirt, and then only maybe one or two people got nice shirts, and then now people just oh you have 326 parts product, and can I buy it, or did you bring anything? And then that was started happening about a few years ago. And then this year I'm going to have a booth at the Formula D Seattle.
Oh, awesome.
And expecting a lot of people. A lot of people to show there. And then before that, I was going to one of my friend company called Auto Love. He has his own private event, and then kind of mixed with Comic-Con, car culture.
Oh, wow.
And then it's more dress up kind of car show. And then I was I didn't know that was getting really popular in the United States. So I packed my 326 Power, please bring the product and sell it. We will give you the space for the booth. And then Josh was the 326 Power is very popular among our clouds. And okay, but not many people really asked me before. So we packed minimum stuff, and little bit t-shirt, this and that. And then from the time the gate opened until pretty much I sold everything, I could not even go to bathroom. I just people coming and then like,
That's
oh, like I
awesome.
want to talk about this, and then yeah, like do you have this part? So like I want to buy this, and then like yeah, that was kind of great eye opener for me. Like oh okay, like 326 Power is like now getting recognized among the US people, and then this many people interested in.
Absolutely, man. I remember like you could like in being in all the way down to New Zealand, I'd see 326 Power, and I think in high school I remember there was a S14 with the kit on it, and I think it had the Yaba King Ghost wheels.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it was only the first time I'd ever seen 326 Power, and then I'd started looking them up. And like, oh my god, this is so cool! You could choose from so many colorways, and everything's awesome. But it was, but in order to buy it was a long way, and you had to only buy it online. There's no store to go. So I think when people see a store, they're like, "Oh, dude, it's 326 Power right here."
Yeah,
that's probably why.
I think it sort of creates this. I think it kind of works in your favor though, because there's a lot of like big brands like HKS and Gradient and all that everybody can find those parts at different distributors, but it's almost like it's an exclusive thing. Like if you're gonna see that 326 Power, like, you gotta get my hands on this, otherwise I'm gonna miss out. Was there any particular product or part that is the most popular that stood out, or was it sort of like a range of things?
Well, it's a lot of range of things, but it's more of ideas. Definitely the wing is most popular item the 326 Power sells, and then now we expanded with first originally started as a universal wing, so mostly S14, 13, 15 people used to put on it kind of made for Sylvia's, but it still was universal. Now we are start making for S14 only, S15 only, to RZ34, the new Z, and then we have for the GT86, and then we are in the development of making for the GR86. GR86 is quite a bit different compared to the FRS GT86. So we are definitely in a development, and then people are like, "Oh, when are you gonna come out? When are you gonna come out?" But yeah, they're very very soon. They're making very good progress. Other than that is like the wheel design. The Yaba King, like one piece, the 5-spoke design has been very popular, and then it never slows down. Like people always ask for it, and then other than that, like another really successful product is the 326 Power start selling coilover spring replacement coilover spring, and then we was able to collaborate with a Swift spring. So we have our own 326 Power Charabane, which is more economical springs, to the Swift spring. Like so customer can pick the quality of spring or for like just like replacement spring, and then we have from about 6K to 100K spring rate, so which is unheard of. And then and then that has been very, very popular because everybody's like, buying aftermarket parts. Yeah. But still, the aftermarket parts are not really perfect for you, right? So sometimes you want the stiffer suspension or softer. Yeah. And then you can't keep buying the new suspension because they're expensive. Yeah. So Haruguchi started introducing the idea of like you can still modify your suspension, even though it's aftermarket parts. It's okay to pick your own like liking of spring rate, height, this and that, like make it suitable to your style. So that's another another great way of 326 Power doing sort of pushing a boundary or kind of introducing the ideas to the car community.
That's a really smart idea, man, and it gives people the opportunity to customize it even more the way that they want, because every car is different, every style is different as well. I guess also with the parts, like what sort of information can you give us about the manufacturing process? Is it all done in Japan, or and how involved are you guys with maintaining? I guess there'll be a lot of quality and things that you'd be checking for in there as well, right?
Yes, we try to have a highest quality. As we were saying, like we try to build up parts that you want to use. So the quality is a very much of a high priority. And then not all the parts are made in Japan. I mean, like I guess you can say to like almost all the manufacturers, but we definitely use high quality. Like some of the product like require the high quality that we use Japan company for the wheels to the body kits. Some of the other stuff like we have a sort of like we always put our idea into each product, and that's how we want the customer to feel the quality, and then the function of the parts, and then also the message from the owner, 326 Power Haruguchi, that we back you up. Like you want something, like we'll try to make it for you. And then like to do that, we need to provide a good quality part. At the same time, like we need to have a higher standard ourselves, because if you don't have the higher standard, that you cannot make a good product. And then also when you have a good idea, but when it becomes to production, you have to adjust some of the design. So you really want this, but like if you change design this part, then it's easier for this manufacturer to make. And then sometimes we have to, if they can still not make it, like you have to kind of make it easy for the manufacturer to make, to keep the high standard of the product, and then also the design wise. So that's the, I guess, hardest hurdle that you need to be able to provide the kind of need, not only the customer base, but also manufacturing side. You have to kind of know everything, and then what is I would not call it compromise, but sort of a good medium agreement point. And then we will use that as a footstep, and then we make another product that's better from there. Once you build a standard, like it's a little bit easier to step up from there.
I guess like probably in the States, more so potentially Japan, but is there any particular success stories or notable collaborations that 326 Power has done with other brands, or maybe an FD driver or something like that?
Yes, there are even some of the professional driver. They are hiddenly or like secretly fan of 326 Power parts, and then one person that loves 326 Power is Matt Mike. Matt Mike, like he's obviously famous for driving a rotary engine, and then and then sometimes like I noticed his car, like when I was I think when he was here in when was before COVID, so 2015, 16 or something like that. He was competing in Formula D, and then I just walked up to his car, and they're like, "Oh, that's our product." Like, like, "Oh yeah, like Haruguchi's parts awesome." Like, yeah, we had that kind of kick off from there, and then I think a huge collaboration was with Stance Nation. This was probably about 2011, 12. Stance Nation wasn't that big back then. 326 Power wasn't that big. People knew about us, but not like just almost like a myth. Like those exist, but like nobody really seen it. So collaborating with Stance Nation, and then kind of going back and forth. Like we go to their car show, and then also like Stance Nation help our product be sold in the United States. That was a great collaboration, and then that actually put us on the map, I think. Other than that, like because I work with a lot of drivers with a Formula D, I do collaborate parts. Like we can make custom lug nuts, such as like we made a few lug nuts for Daigo, and then sometimes we in Japan, like they collaborate with other D1 drivers, so they can use our suspensions to wheels, and then some of the the coilovers, like we build, we have so many different setup, and then the option that it can be for a competition as well. We do have like a very stiff the shock damper setup to light, and then we can obviously have so many different spring setup, helper spring setup. So you may not see on some of the competition cars, but we do actually try to collaborate and help the D1 driver and then FD drivers.
Yeah, that's awesome. Probably a question I sort of missed over earlier, but it could be relative as you, in your time with 326 Power, and also collaborating with all these drivers and other partners, and that. Do you guys have any crazy stories of something that's happened with one of your builds at an event, or anything that sort of stood out in your time?
Not that I can remember. I mean, the work, when I started working with 326 Power, and then working with Haruguchi, every day was pretty much every day with him. It's just surprise. I never thought to myself that I can travel the world, or going through the events with driver, and seeing some of the famous drivers, Lee Millens to Samuel Huvenet, and then it just like me touring with a rock band pretty much. So that was already my greatest achievement. And then everything was just I guess I'm so happy that now the drifting in Formula D and everything has evolved to very, very higher level of the athletes, and then the competition events, instead of a sort of grassroots or underground kind of people couldn't really say I drift. Now you can probably say I'm a drift professional driver, and then it took 20 years, but now everybody know drifting, and then it's got to the always a sold out venue events, and they're very popular, and I'm so glad that was one of the things that I'm very proud of. I was able to be involved with drifting community from the beginning in the United States. And I guess that would be probably the craziest story I can tell to my kids or friends.
Oh, dude, it's a life experience that you'll never forget.
The World Time Attack. Will you be attending?
Yes, as a mechanic, this year World Time Attack, it's in Sydney. We are going there. I'm going with Daigo Saito, and then actually we are attending on the Garrett International Drift Cup portion of it. So we are doing drifting, and then Daigo and I had been a friend, and then co-working since he wasn't competing in Formula D. I think I started helping him from 2013, and then ever since we being friends, and then sometimes he invites me to some of the events such as this World Time Attack, and then I've been to Thailand, where was it, Indonesia with him, to some of the D1 events, so I'm very, very excited. I have not been to Australia for probably 20 some years, 25 years. And then, this time going there as a mechanic and help his Daigo's GR86 that he used to use in Formula D Japan. And then, I think it's getting shipped right now.
So are they going to have how does that work? Do they have another section where there's going to be drifting as well?
Yeah, I do not know exactly how it works because I'm not the venue of the event, but I think it's kind of multiple event. Probably they have time attack session, and then they probably have mid break, and then during the mid break session they have the drift event, and then to be honest, like the World Time Attack, like it's been like one of the event that I wanted to go. I heard about it, and then I never had a chance to do it. And then all of a sudden, like Daigo, like, you want to come? Like okay, I'll go. Like you don't need to pay me. I just go with you.
That's so cool, man.
Yeah.
That's so
Yeah.
cool.
We gotta find our way there somehow, right?
One day, yeah, man. We'll
Hint,
get
hint.
there. I mean, it's in Sydney, so it's
Yeah,
not far from
just
us. We
neck
don't
of the
have
woods.
we don't have
It's
all
not-
the excuses not to go, really.
Yeah. So I guess like we've talked a lot about the origins of 326 Power and some of the upcoming events. But what's what are your what's the team's long-term vision for 326 Power? Where do you guys want to go from here?
It's a very good question. I don't think we know where we're gonna land, or it's not that we want to be major corporate company. I think we just want to help the community and then people that wanting new product, or like they dream about it, and then like we hopefully we are the company that can make the dream into like reality. We do different approaches, and then definitely it's I don't think, I guess we should be somewhat flexible. The Haruguchi has been very flexible, and then nowadays, like not many people are driving actual car, like and then some of the car enthusiast people have been shifted to the gaming company, like Torque Drift, and then they have their own community, and then maybe that's we might be heading to. I don't know. And then especially the car supposed to be all the electrical, right?
Yeah.
So may not be able to do some of the crazy stuff, but we just don't know. But I think our thing is to be flexible. Don't make judgments too soon, and then just be like go with the flow sort of. And then as long we still grow as a company, that's a good thing.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, like we said, you guys have such a unique style, and it's already, and there's a lot of people in the community. Like exactly, you touched on that. We already knew about you guys, but it was through our own Talk Drift community. TD1 that someone reached out and said we want to customize and use your parts. So it is definitely an evolution of car modification, and also just getting into the culture. A lot of kids, probably our earlier generations, we were probably driving cars without licenses and in our backyards and stuff like that. I know that's what me and my friends are doing. I have this bad memory of us trying to do a bit of a drift on the local street, and we fully slammed into a curb and the tire flew out. And we tried to tell my friend's uncle, who's a mechanic, that oh no, it was raining and we slipped. And he said, no, I know the angles. You guys tried to do something.
And they always on e-brakes.
And my friend barely warned me. It was just literally we're just driving and then and it was like a Mitsubishi, so it wasn't even like a rear wheel drive, I don't think. But what we're doing with TD2 is definitely a unique experience and way for people to get into the culture and learn more, and they can customize with your parts and learn more about it, and if they want to get the real thing, I guess though in real life, because you guys have so many unique parts and that, has there been any request from a customer or client that's so unique or crazy that it's sort of you've had to sort of reinvent the wheel to make it happen, or does it happen almost all the time?
Well, I guess our customer sort of knows a sort of boundary. They don't really. I mean, most of they ask is like, "Oh, can you make a custom wing for my car or body kit for our car?" Like, no, unfortunately, because there are costs associated with making a mold, this and that, we cannot make a custom body kit and stuff. But we do the car suspension. Sometimes, it's Corolla. Corolla wasn't as popular as this, like Corolla, front-wheel drive Corolla, and then they're like, oh, I really, really want to build like 50K, 45K suspension, Corolla, and then I just want to have like this much of a stroke on the suspension. They're like, okay, it's gonna take a time, and then I need to work with you. Give me the measurement here and this and that, like how stiff, and then we sometimes do this in Japan, because Japan, they get the car and then they measure it, but never really done in United States, because I could not get the position of the car. So, and then the customer is not even like Washington State, like a different state. So it was very difficult to do, but by talking to the customer, and then what their preference and what kind of wheel they're going to use, and then what kind of tire they're using, we were able to pull off one custom suspension the customer really wanted, and then they were really, really happy. I mean, like,
Awesome.
that moment that I got the email or phone call, like, oh, this is great. I thought it's gonna be bouncy, and then like sort of shitty driving, or the suspension not gonna work, and then like oh, it's actually pretty comfortable for like being 50K or 60K spring rate suspension.
Wow.
Those are like the moment we feel winning, that like the customer is happy, we're happy, and then like we're making some kind of impact to that person.
So is there any, like outrageous rumor or misconception you've heard about 326 Power USA from peers or brands or people from outside?
When you have a 326 power wing, you can fly, or no, but they are usually like people ask me like, oh, like why is your product so expensive in a way, like why is your other people or parts are like a lot cheaper, and then like why shouldn't I pick those, and like there are a couple reasons. One, definitely most the significant one is our company is still small. It's not like big corporate. Not
Yep.
I don't know what people are thinking. Like they might think like we have manufactured like factory, and then like building after building. No, we don't. Like we are a very small, like very small company, and then operated with total of like maybe like 15, 20 people at the most, even including myself in US and then Japan. So that's why our sort of parts, the cost cannot be cut. And then especially when we try to pick and choose a good quality parts, it's going to be somewhat expensive. And some of them we made sure to make in Japan instead of like other countries. And then because all it boils down is to have happy customer that purchasing from us. If they're not happy, like why should we bother making it? So that's one of the reasons why. And then especially coilover, we have so many different springs, so many different shock dampening, and then to make that happen, we have to stock a lot. I mean, like a lot of spring, and then like Japan always have like probably like about 3,000, 4,000 spring sets always at the warehouse. Just to keep those in sitting in the warehouse, that's expensive.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, you have the different color, the lower bracket, upper bracket, and then you can imagine like there are so much inventory they have to have, because you want to mix with a top hat be green, and then the spring to be pink, and then lower helper spring to be gold, and then like the purple and black here, and then like and then I want to have like like 25K on the front, and then like 15K on the rear. It's just like
That's
to
crazy,
make that happen,
There's different
we
spring
have to have a lot of
all the colors in each spring.
Yeah,
too.
it's-
That's crazy.
Mhm.
Can imagine all that.
yeah. So if you think about it, the combination is unlimited, but to make it happen, we need to have that much of inventory. That's why, unfortunately, our suspension is little bit expensive compared to like eBay marketed, Amazon marketed suspension. But a lot of feedback I get from customers are always present, and like they're like, "Oh, thank you very much." Like it's like the ride's great, and then like this is exactly what I wanted.
Um, hey, Jun. So I was wondering, man, where does most of your influence come, or even what are some of your influential drivers?
Definitely Haruguchi is one of the first professional driver I met, and then he's definitely one of the most influential. He taught me how to be a professional mechanic. I was just mechanic, for little bit faster car, but at the professional level, he taught me how to mentally prepare and then what you're looking for, and then he taught me all the basics, and then he's still teaching me how to run business, how to achieve as a company and then or business owner, and that has been huge impact and then almost life changing. And then another person definitely influenced me was Daigo Saito. He started driving in United States from 2012, and then he was rookie of the year, and then he was a champion of the year. So that was great. And then I actually went to Long Beach in 2012 because his teammate Robbie Nishida asked me like like, oh yeah, Daigo's coming, like you want to see him, like I met him a couple of times, but really kind of meet him in like real action, like driving. And then I was watching, I cannot forget the image, his car going sideways, and then the smoke he's put out is not only like it looked like solid. It looked like solid smoke that with a kind of like it had a shape with it, and then I never seen that before. Like I've been to drift events, but like a lot of people you've seen put out good smoke, but that never seen that kind of solid smoke. Like it's everything white. Back half of the car is white, and then nothing be able to see through. I could not see the person or the driver behind him, and then that was a life changing moment. And then like oh, this guy's like I heard about him, but he's another level. And then I was fortunate enough to be able to work with him as his crew chief and for many years. And then he also taught me sort of how to be pushing boundaries, and then he works very very hard and on his cars, and then now he is achieving like building his own circuit in by his like by the house, and then the shop, and then building like Lamborghinis and then Ferraris, and then he had collection of like like Ferraris, and then just making newer concept car. I think he's one of the first person kind of introducing like supercar as drift car, like starting with a GTR. I think not many people were using GTR because the concept of the Nissan GTR R35 was completely different than drift car because the more stable, and then the weight ratio and everything was made for circuit grip racing. And then he turned into the drift car, and then that was like the 100K over retail price car, and then put into race car. And then now we start seeing more like an expensive car in the drift circuit. But he also in a good way, like both Haruguchi and then Daigo, they are in a good way, they're crazy. Yeah. They don't stop for nothing. They just like achieve. Those two people has been very influential, and then making me who I am right now. Yeah. Sometimes like if you don't understand what their goal is, it's very hard to like follow their footsteps, or just follow them, work with them. But when you see the end result, it'd be like, oh, that's why he really, really wanted to push this far. Usually, no other people would. Yeah, in the vision, yeah, anybody else would be stopped. Yeah. So those two people are very important people for me, and fortunately, I have them as a friend, and then we have fun together. Then now I have had those fortunate collision with those two people. I feel like my new role is becoming to sort of interconnect with those people, to younger generation people. People are still in 20s, and then that's why I guess I'm still working as a drift mechanic, because I start seeing people start drifting with games, and then they are professional, and then and they're very talented people. One is a few years ago I helped Wataru Masuyama at the Formula D, and then he's very young, talented people. And then those younger people, they can do almost anything instantly. They just it's crazy. They're almost superhuman. Another the talented person is Hiroya Minowa. He's only 13 right now. So he started drifting, and then he played a lot of simulator. And then his mom and dad, they're professional drifter. He's the youngest professional driver, I guess, in the world. And then
what were you doing? Definitely not.
Yeah, I don't know what I was doing when I was 13, 14.
Yeah, it wasn't good. And that's I guess that sort of ties in with your future goals, right? I guess being someone that can sort of connect the younger and the the former generations of I guess of drifting drifters, and also mechanics and stuff like that, giving your wisdom. Is that sort of part of the path you're going down?
Oh yes, I mean I came to this position not just by myself, because a lot of people helped me. So my job is to pass on what I know and then help other people, and then in the future they can be a professional level drifter, or some influencers to help to achieve their dreams, I guess, or even find a dream or what they want to do. And then those will be passed on generation, I guess. So it's, I guess, a natural thing. But I'd like to maximize their potential in a way. If just me being there at the racetrack and then help them, that can help them. That'd be great.
Yeah, that's super inspiring, and it's for anyone in the community, guys like Jun, that look out for him and his team. The fact that they're willing to pass this sort of knowledge. I think I heard back in the day it was sort of more it's more like an underground thing, and a lot of guys kept their secrets to their chest. But now, because it's becoming so much more mainstream, it's better to just embrace it. And I'm sure even for you, bro, when you were getting into drifting,
exactly. People like Jun. There's people like Jun around, which you felt comfortable talking to you, and they'll give you advice, and they'll take time out of their day to show you the ropes.
Yeah,
that's what makes it way better automotive community. You can jump in and it's friendly.
Oh yes.
You learn a lot.
Yeah, one person's secret becomes everybody's knowledge. Yeah. So the whole level of the competition or the game is it's going up higher, instead of just elevate everything, escalate.
Yeah, definitely.
So I guess it helps in many ways, sharing the knowledge and then helping each other.
Totally. Yeah, man. Well, before we wrap up, I got a last question for you, Jun. What was your first car?
Sure.
What's your forever car, and what's your favorite car?
Ralph. It's a very hard question. I mean, the first car is easy. My Honda EG hatchback that I got it from my brother. When I just got the car, I didn't have the potential, and then unfortunately I didn't really drive that car much, because I had to sell the car after driving a couple of years. But that car definitely teach me how to drive manual car. And then my future car is probably I don't think I like to drive the super expensive like Porsche or Ferrari, or even like just some kind of supercar that builds like like gazillion horsepower. I think my future project car would be some kind of like Japanese car, probably like GTR or something that with aftermarket parts, and then I want to build a car that's for me. Maybe I might put like kind of make a imitation of Daigo's car. Like maybe I'll put like maybe like 800 horsepower 2JZ into the new Supra, and then like with 3 to 6 bar suspension, and then body kit and wings, and then something I just like to kind of look at it and they go, I built it.
Yes.
And then like when I drive it, like I just have fun.
Yeah, totally, man.
Would you say Supra's maybe up there with your favorite cars, or more Honda?
For now, I would think so. I mean, like I love to do like GR86. I think GR86 will be more of a probably be like a more current project that I should be building. And then I guess we are all car guys, so one car is just not enough. You have to have a huge garage first.
Yeah.
And then you have to start like kind of like your game. You have in your game like you have a garage, and then you have like this car for like this competition, or this going against this guy, or like you have to have like like 5-6 to like unlimited amount of cars.
That is so true. That is
and
really
they
true.
just want everything.
Well, Jun, thank you so much for your time, man. We really appreciate it. And this has been really inspiring podcast. I think a lot of people, young people especially, can learn a lot from your journey, and your future ambition to help people is going to really it's one cool thing is I got into drifting stuff like pretty late, obviously, but one cool thing I'm learning is because it's a newer sport and a newer form of motorsport, it has so much potential to break barriers and just be a community for people to just connect more. I mean, you see like even influencers like a guy like Adam LZ, starting out BMX guide, and people watched his journey become who he is today, and then he wins a Formula Drift event this year, and he's part of this massive team. It's like a lot of kids can especially guys like like Rahul, people from where we're from in New Zealand, small towns or suburb guys that, they're into cars. So, some of these guys, you'll talk to them and they're geniuses. They know everything about a car, but they're just shy to express it. And I think drifting's a really cool way to do that. And we love your brand. We love your products. Look out for 326 Power. They're going to be in Talk Drift 2, guys. And please continue to follow us, subscribe to our channels, listen to the podcast. Look out for more amazing guests like Jun. And Jun, is there any Instagram, Twitter handles you like to quickly plug while you're on the?
Yes, definitely. The website for the 326 Power is the 326powerusa.com, and then we also run 326 Power _ USA as an Instagram kind of community, like the account we have, and then a lot of people write me a questions, and then we try to keep up with our product, and then new items and then products are always announced on the Instagram. And then also we are going to Seattle Formula D 2023, which is about a couple weeks from today. So the August 10th to 13th is a Formula D Seattle. So we will have a booth, and then we're doing a sales for the wheels, and then we try to bring as much of the product we can, and then to see and talk to the fans. I'm so excited, and then I'm trying to do the same thing for the last event this year at the Irwindale Formula D.
Oh, awesome!
Irwindale is my favorite track. I love it, and then we had a few wins there too with Daigo. Just like I'm so excited to doing this. Yeah.
Well, guys. Thanks again for joining. Jun's been amazing. I'm Elias.
Rahul.
And look out for our next episode. Cheers, guys.